Hello everybody, welcome to the Justin T. Weller Show. Always thrilled to be here with you. This week I'm answering a question that you guys asked about 2 weeks ago when I was like, what do you want to hear me talk about next? And every time I've asked you that in the past, it kind of like lasts multiple weeks before I ever get to it. So this week, quick video, but I want to answer a question that was a common theme. Several of you wanted to know my thoughts on Trump. How does the LGBT community feel about Trump? How do I feel about Trump? Those are great questions. I'm glad you asked. Politics is pretty much what I do most of the time. So that said, I don't want to get down and dirty into the specifics of exactly everything that's going on. I want to give you an overarching opinion and view. First and foremost, I was not somebody who supported Trump. In fact, I worked for Hillary Clinton's campaign, as I think a lot of you know, and I'm a registered Republican, so you know, it's kind of like this massive oxymoron. It was a very strange election season. I think we all know that. There was a lot of mixed feelings, a lot of different ideas about how things should be handled, and ultimately, you know, Trump won. A reality that many of us thought was, you know, unlikely or not even possible in some cases, but it happened. And to date, my general impression is it's kind of being managed like a reality TV show, like Our Nation. And I'm not surprised by that because I think that's kind of how Trump was used to running his businesses, and therefore is kind of how he thinks the country should probably be run. So, you know, it's not surprising, I guess I would say. I don't like how much we jump around. There's been a number of things that to me are just not what a president does. You don't put politics before the people, which is who you serve. I don't care what president you are, what party you're with. And, you know, ultimately, he hasn't done a lot that I'm excited about by any means. He has done a lot of things that I'm concerned about. Today, as many of you know, Gorsuch was confirmed. That's the guy he appointed to go on to the Supreme Court, was confirmed by the Senate. So, you know, the court is now, again, basically a 5-4 conservative slant. Am I freaking out about that? I'm not, based off of what Gorsuch testimony was. I don't think we're going to lose our right to marry. You know, I sure pray that we're not going to, that's for sure. Fingers crossed, right? But, you know, ultimately I think that there are a lot worse people that it could have been. That's not to say that this is the person I would have picked, because it's certainly not. And that's kind of, I think it reigns true throughout everything that he's done so far. It's not the thing I would have done. The immigration stuff, I think, is the thing that has been so far most upsetting to me, in terms of our country is built on the idea of immigrants, on the idea of coming together, working together, and I haven't felt a lot of that, despite what some of the PR has been. I also don't like the way the press is being handled. I think that has been handled poorly. I don't like the constant attacks on the media. Obviously, being a member of the media, I don't care for those attacks. I think that they further divide us. But part of the reason that you're sensing a more positive tone, despite things that I really don't like, I was very scared. That's the reality. On election day, after we knew the way it was going, I was very scared. It was very surreal, like, this guy's going to be our president. And I honestly, you know, have had some nights where it was difficult to sleep, thinking about, you know, what's going to happen? Are we going to lose our right to marry? You know, is discrimination going to be allowed? And just recently, you know, that North Carolina bathroom law that we all had issues with was thankfully repealed, but that's still outright discrimination allowed in certain ways in certain areas. There's been some positive news, right? Recently, I believe it was the either 9th or 7th, I think, Circuit Court ruled that Title VII of the 1964 Discrimination Act protected LGBT rights. And while that is something that has not been ruled on in the past, there is a good chance that will now make it to the Supreme Court and that they may very well have to rule on it, which could potentially guarantee us all the right to not be discriminated against, regardless of public or private institution. So there's a lot of positives happening too. I know that a lot of people are upset about who the president is. I am, but at the end of the day, he's our president. Whether or not we like it, he is the president of the United States of America, and we're all part of that. So what we have to do now is stand up for what we believe in, but not be difficult for the sake of being difficult. And I think that's something that so many people don't get sometimes. It's like, well, they did this or that thing, so now we're going to be difficult and we're not going to play along, and all this stuff. And I guess I just look at it and it's like, we have to work together. We have to come together. If we're a community of love, if that's what we are, and that's what I think that we are, a Stonewall community, a strong community, then we have to be willing to not throw punches back. Obviously, we can't just sit there and take it. But at the same time, we have to be willing to work together, and we've got to be willing to give a little ground, where we can. Because obviously there's some things where, there's certain issues for us where it's just, there isn't ground to give, like marriage equality. There's just not anymore. So I think this all comes back to, I want people to not hate each other because of who they voted for. That's not the idea of why you vote. It's not the purpose of this country. And I know tensions are high. I know emotions are tough. I know that stuff is happening, and it happens for me. I get very heated on the Current Issues show, which I've linked in the description. You guys should check out if you want more political podcasts by me. That's the place to listen. I do 3 every week. So Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday by 6 p.m. So definitely check out that. But it is a tough time, and there's high tensions, but that doesn't justify us being mean to other people. For years we've been discriminated against and still are today. I still run into people who are, bigots or who are mean. And at the end of the day, we're always going to have those people, but that doesn't give us the right to be mean back. If we want people to love us, we must show them love. So that's kind of my point for today. I know it's not a real long one, but I'm hoping that next week, the video I most recently did was how Justin met Brett. Now we're going to do how Brett met Justin. So hopefully that'll be coming up in the next week or so. I am going to try to stay more consistent on videos. I am very, very sorry about that. But as always, give me suggestions on what you want to hear me talk about, or what challenges you want to see me do, or just generally, what do you think of what's going on? Make sure to comment. I, as you know, do read those comments. So if you're here for the first time, awesome. Please comment below. Give this video a thumbs up. Let me know that you liked it. And make sure to subscribe. And I ask, please, if you've made it this far in the video, you're one of those awesome subscribers that I have. Or you're just a super cool first-time viewer. But please make sure that you share this with somebody else. Tell somebody how awesome I am, or how much you hate me, but how entertaining it is to watch my stuff. So if you could do that, it'd be a big help. And make sure to follow me on all social media at Justin T. Weller, which is also in the description below. Check out last week's video. And in the meantime, I will see you next time on the Justin T. Weller Show. Be the change.